endorphins. It releases those hormones that make you feel good, that relax you. So as far from it being a chore, it actually was a very relaxing time for both my daughter and I. Of course, it's painful in the beginning, and I think, like Everline, I had my struggles in the beginning with, breastfeeding. You can read all about my breastfeeding journey. I'm going to put it on the blog, so I won't bore you with that story tonight. But so check out the blog, check out the link, and you can read about my breastfeeding journey. But I think it's important. I absolutely think it's important. My question to everyone on the panel, why would you not, this is just me, but if you know, and research has shown that breastfed infants on the whole have a higher IQs, what would be anybody's reason for not at least encouraging or supporting yourself in breastfeeding, or encouraging or supporting your mate?
What would be a reason that you wouldn't?
Yes.
I would say just from the only reason, depending on the lifestyle of that person. Like if the person is living an unhealthy lifestyle.
Oh, okay.
Then that would be the one reason that I would say, like if it's a health issue or something to that effect, because that's the ultimate you are what you eat scenario.
That is so true.
So if the person is not, if they're drinking and they're smoking and things like that, then I wouldn't encourage that person to breastfeed.
That's true. That's true. And, a lot of, like I said, a lot of the formulas out today are very high quality, and they do their best to mimic, breast milk. So if you are, a mom or whatever, and you want to drink, you want to smoke, and things like that and whatever, you're probably better off. The best gift that you can give your child is formula. Absolutely. I agree with that. I know when I was breastfeeding, I had a drink. You can have a drink every now and again. And, if I wanted to get,
and
if I wanted to get toe up.
Better.
Well, no, you know what I would do? I would get toe up, excuse me. And I would, usually it was when I was going out, and I didn't go out too many times, but I would go out once or twice and while I was breastfeeding. And I would just have, they say, I think it takes 2 hours for alcohol to leave your system when you're breastfeeding, that your milk is okay. So I would give myself like a 3 or 4 hour window. A couple of times, or at least once, I remember that I just pumped and dumped. I was like, okay,
right.
this milk is filled with, with all, right, this is filled with all sorts of stuff. I'm just going to, pump it and dump it. Boom, So, but of course, that only works if you have a supply of, frozen breast milk or things like that. I'm really a little disappointed that Leslie Ann Brown couldn't be with us tonight. She it's 5 o'clock in the morning where she is, and she's been quite busy, and she needed her rest. But she has an interesting breastfeeding story that I hope she doesn't mind if I share. She actually breastfed her son, and I'm going to let her give the details later, but she breastfed her son beyond the age of 2, which a lot of people find very controversial, especially in America. And I asked one of my Facebook friends also, she also breastfed her child beyond the age of 2. And I asked if I could, just tell her story on the show, and she, agreed so I could spill her beans. And I'm wondering, how do the men feel? How do you feel about women who breastfeed beyond the age of 2?
As a man?
That's a Mike, go ahead.
Well, after listening to what y'all said as far as how it's a great sleep aid and stuff like that, I'm about to go tell all the fellas, hey, if you're tired and you can't sleep, put a breast in your mouth.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Put a breast in it.
Wow.
Put a breast in it.
Oh, my gosh.
I like that, actually. That's not a bad idea.
Seriously, like as I was saying before, I don't think it's really problematic, especially when you look at it from our ancient cultures and things like that. And part of the nurturing process. I don't think we nurture our children enough when they're young.
Yes,
we follow someone else's culture. So their culture dictates to us that we give our children cow's milk and we give them this and we give them that. And that's fine for our children. And we don't spend enough time looking into our own culture and our own upbringings to see what's best for our children.
True indeed. There was a study on the natural weaning age of human babies, and in order for them to do this study, they had to go to Africa. They had to go to Asia because, in the Western world, so many of us, did not breastfeed our children. We didn't follow that natural cycle. So in order to study the natural cycle of the human being, they had to go somewhere else. So they did these studies, and they found that actually the natural weaning age for humans is probably somewhere between birth and 3 to 4 years of age. If we were in our natural state, whatever that means, and probably, as Michael said, in, more traditional cultures, that our children most naturally would wean somewhere between 3 and 4 years of age.
And see, that's
yes.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's weird to me. I mean that in a good way, I guess. As the conversation continues, I feel my mind expanding to try to understand this thing because it's so foreign to me.
Right, and it's foreign to all of us. I mean, can you imagine? I always hear guys say, like my husband would joke. He would say, "It's okay if you're breastfeeding, but when they old enough to ask for it, it's too much. It's too late. Too much. You need to stop." And so and that tends to be. And my husband is pretty liberal, but that tends to be the viewpoint for all of us Americans. Like we will be horrified because we have sexualized our breasts so much, where even as women we look at our breasts as sexual objects. If you think about putting it in the mouth of a 3-year-old child, you're like, ew, gross.
That is true.
I don't mind the nurturing part. It's the teeth, damn it. It's the teeth. Like, jeez.
Well, I was afraid of that too. I nursed my daughter beyond, when she got teeth. She was, she had teeth, but by the time she weaned herself, I let her wean herself. But I would have breastfed her for as long as she wanted. And the teeth, believe it or not, are not a huge issue. I think I got bit maybe once, maybe twice, but nothing compared to the pain of starting it. So for me, and believe me, I was terrified of the teeth too. I was like, oh my God, when she gets teeth, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this. But they're conscious of it. Because they're breastfeeding with their tongue. Their tongue is doing all the action. So the teeth, and they can't. Okay, dare I say it's like another act, and we'll just leave it at that. You don't have to use your teeth, people. You don't have to use your teeth, and the babies instinctively know this. So but we get grossed out. Thinking of our breasts as that, but that's what our breasts are for. And once again, I hate to sound preachy. Don't mean to sound preachy because, like I said before, if your lifestyle or your habits are not conducive to breastfeeding, then the best gift you can give your child is formula, a very good formula. Wow, we've got 2 callers on hold. I have to apologize again, callers. I'm sorry, we cannot take calls tonight because Skype is bootleg tonight. My internet connection is quite bootleg tonight. It's working. For some reason, my internet connection is working. It's on. I can see the studio page, but I cannot get calls through Skype. So I apologize tonight, callers. I feel so badly, but I love you. I love you. I love you. Okay, and just moving on to other aspects of attachment parenting. One of the things that bothered me, and I guess I'm getting on my soapbox, but one of the things that bothered me about America is that the horror of sleeping with your baby. You know, we encourage, it's just the weirdest thing in the world to me, where you have a newborn baby, and this baby is designed basically to be on a human. You know, it's completely helpless and defenseless. And we put it in a room alone, you know, and that's considered the ideal. And, you know, I think that's kind of strange. It seemed really artificial to me that, wow, I just had this baby and I'm going to put it somewhere by itself. And, you know, I don't think so. But that's just me. That's me. And then in Japan, I'm so sorry, to see, and to be able to see this in person, it really, really broadens and expands your mind. To see that their typical situation is to have the mom and the child sleep together, and the husband sleeps apart from the, you know, because, of course, men, you know, my husband was not, I don't mean to put my business out there with my husband so much, but my husband was not excited about sleeping in the bed with a baby, and I understood it. Me, on the other hand, is what I wanted to do. So we actually did do it Asian style. We went back to ancient culture, and we slept separately. And it was quite wonderful because I was able to breastfeed my daughter. She, you know, I was literally like, you know, one eye, both eyes closed, as a matter of fact. She'd wake up, I stick a nipple in her mouth, and we're both back to sleep. And it was, I got great sleep. Like, everyone said, oh, you must not be getting any sleep with a newborn. I was like, you kidding? I'm getting 8 hours. And I did. And it was just the most natural arrangement for me. So it bothers me when you hear, you know, propaganda that sleeping with your child is dangerous, because what about those moms like me where that seemed like the most natural thing to do?
Right.
Any comments?
I just like, you know, playing devil's advocate, I guess, for lack of a better word, because I just really understand the perspective of it being new, it being a new concept. And so, like, that's the first time I've ever heard a woman who's had a child say that sleeping with their child didn't give them the worst, terrible sleep that they've ever had in their life. And they, like, suffer from depression and all. I mean, just horror stories. And they put it in my mind where I'm like, oh, well, not doing that.
Right, right. It makes me wonder how much of that is psychological.
Oh, a lot
of it. I think a lot of it is.
A lot of it.
And a lot of it comes from, like, the words you use, the proper words you use is propaganda, you know. So if you just going into it with the idea, well, what is this, and exercising all these fears, or I fear that I'm going to roll over on my baby and crush her, and so forth and so on, and, you know. So a lot of things that are put out there as, you know, just as, you know, the same thing dealing with breast milk. You know,
right.
It's not best to see, you know, cow's milk is just as good as breast milk, you know, which is probably put out by farmers with cows.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Because studies have shown that breast milk has so many thousands of, you know, and Evelyn, you would know the proper word, you know, but it has so many thousands of chemical configurations that are directly, you know, specifically made for your child's DNA. Like, even every woman's breast milk is different. No woman has the same breast milk. The breast milk is designed specifically for your child's specific DNA configuration. So there's no way in the world that, you know, formula can replicate that, even though they do try. So, you know, it's interesting. It sounds like propaganda to me. And it makes me wonder, there's this funny story of this old man. He was on the bus, and he was saw all these kids. Somebody told me this story. And, you know,